That's right. Your experiences as the avatar then would become much more full and rich and deep and you know understanding and
Hey,
there's no have tos, Nick. There's no have
right.
tos.
Yeah.
It's all they show me all the time a smorgasbord like this buffet. It's a
Mm,
buffet. Trying to live it. Some days we
mm,
do great. Some days we suck. Our body, our personality, our thinking mind, our inner child, our programming, all of that is our human experience.
mm,
But within us, we also have that spark of the divine. We have that access. It's not out there, it's inside. It's right here. And
mm,
so and so we like if we wanted to tell a story about it, if I was going to just tell a story about it, I would say the is, the all, wakes up one morning and says, I'm bored, and looks around and says, not much going on. Pretty boring, pretty boring. And decides how to not be bored is to have experiences. But when you're just pure positive energy, you're just unconditional love, there's no experiences to have. So fractals that perfect unconditional love, that spark of the divinity, out into beings like you and I. Now, what is our job? Our job is we are taking this humanity, this human suit, and we're gathering data and we're comparing the broccoli and the cheesecake and we're saying, I do this is and yeah, uh, and we're navigating, we're gathering data, we're having experiences. From now, remember that I started the conversation that I was seeking the answer to the question. I i believe that Nape said it perfectly. It is the space, because I believe that when we are in any given moment and we're gathering data, so think about this conversation, listening, gathering data, stuff coming in. My analytical mind is thinking and using past and future and all that kind of stuff. But then there's that spark. There's that isness part of me that just holds space, holds space without judgment, holds unconditional love for these two people that are part of my life, and the remarkableness of it. That feeling, that holding space feeling, it I think is about as close to our authentic self as we get.
mm,
And the object of the game is, as we're navigating our life, is to be in that space as much as we can. That's that
mm, mm,
space, that space, because even as I say it, Nick, I feel the hum in my body. I feel the expansiveness. I feel that connection. I happened on to a new teacher, for lack of a better term, a new YouTube person, somebody that does this kind of stuff, and I really like him. I can't think of his name. I'd have to look on my YouTube, but I really like him. And he was doing an interview, and he said think of the human body in relationship to the earth. Feel that in space, and then think about the moon. Feel the distance. Feel how that feels in space. Now think about stars. Feel that. Feel what that feels like. It feels like it's bigger, right? We're moving out. Feel the universe. And now feel source energy. Source energy, doesn't it make you feel like it's like even beyond that? But it's not beyond that. Source energy is right inside here. And
mm,
he said people's minds tend to think of the all, the oneness, as this thing that's out here, but it's dropping into that heart space, dropping into that space in your inside, knowing that all of that is right inside here.
mm,
And so
yeah,
as we bring our daily experiences into that space,
yeah.
it's a different.
So what? Yeah, because what I'm actually let me rephrase
Okay.
what I'm trying to like understand is, and I because the hard thing is when we have a word authentic self, then the question is, okay, how do you define it, right? What do you mean by that? Because
Right.
there's not, if you would read it from the internet, you would have like several ways to describe it. So,
Yep.
but let's take an example, because examples help us to mentally build the thing. So let's say that this is a game. There's a player. The player is the one that is not attached to a game yet. You're just like browsing different kind of games.
Okay. I'm with you.
and yeah, and then you decide that, okay, I'm gonna play that game. You put the VR headset on, and then you have your avatar, and you are controlling as a player. But the challenge in this game is that this game is so immersive that we forget who we are. We forget the player behind it because it's so immersive,
Right.
and that's the point of it also.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, so when you refer to the authentic self, is it the player without the game, or is it the player inside the game? Because then it's a, you need to, yeah, which one?
I believe okay, using that analogy, I
Yeah,
believe it is it's the avatar, it's the player within the game
yeah,
who all of a sudden, even though it's all seems so real and it's so tangible and it's so immersive and it's so grabbing my attention, that I can cut through that, and I have a sense and a knowing of that other me.
right,
That I
right,
think is
yes,
that I think is the answer.
yeah. And isn't it then that the authentic self is the authentic self to play the mission we are on?
Right. Yeah, to have more experiences through that lens of understanding, through that lens of
Yeah,
remembering, having
yeah. So
experiences. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So when you say that finding the authentic self, it's the player playing the game through that avatar. It's the combination of that, not separated. Because if you think about
That's right.
the player itself, it has a like way wider perspective. This is just a blip.
Yep. That's right.
But the point is to find the authentic self to walk the mission that you should be walking.
Yeah.
And through that, if you find that, then you can be more authentically walking the path
Right.
rather than being too immersed with the game.
That's right. Your experiences as the avatar then would become much more full and rich and deep and you know understanding and yeah, yeah. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. So when this life ends here, then you don't have. Do you want to continue? Yes and yes. So basically, that you can learn more. I'm not. Or is there some kind of like threshold how much you should be learning? Because there is some kind of plan still, right?
No,
Hey,
there's no have tos, Nick. There's no have
right?
tos.
Yeah.
It's all they show me all the time a smorgasbord like this buffet. It's a
Mm,
buffet. We each get to pick off the buffet. You and I are
mm,
down at the really high end of the buffet. We're picking the and I mean and there's a higher end than where we're at.
mm,
But we're not down eating the chips and salsa. We're up eating the filet mignon. you know,
mm,
and
yeah.
because we're diving deep. We're looking at the big questions and the big answers, and we're trying to live it. Some days we
Mm,
do great. Some days we suck.
mm,
Simple as that. I mean, for me, I have days when I feel like I separate terribly from my higher self. I have
Yeah,
days when I walk hand in hand with my higher self. It's all
exactly. And in a way, what I've been thinking that if somebody's playing the game fully immersed to the game, not understanding the authentic self, there's nothing wrong with that either.
no, nah, nothing,
Because
nothing.
yeah,
Nope,
and in a way,
no judgments
if you
at
do,
all.
yeah, and then you have this. I mean, then you're like fully immersed into the game, which is kind of cool in a way when you think about it. This
Well,
this path can be. I mean, depending how it goes. Because this path, when you are wondering what is the game all about, and how should we navigate, that is also it's quite a tough path. It takes quite a lot of time from drinking wine and eating with cheese.
but it would be so it's like, so what is it about us? What is it? Okay, this is a good question about us, that when we sit down to play the game, and there are, now I don't play video games, but so if there's 10 levels, I do understand levels. Why are we not satisfied at level 1? We're not. Whatever still wants to go to level 2. There's that. Now I think that in the world of people who are completely 3D, I listened recently to something that talked about how that part of the design, the design for this experience is that each person has a spark within them of seeking, that there's something more. They, whatever that is that God put into us, that said, we, even as a little girl, I knew there was something more, and I felt that pull, that seeking. That said, there are those that are born to this earth that have such horrific upbringings and such, or who knows what goes into making people be crazy and whatnot. They get in this game that they're playing this time around. They are so disconnected and so wrapped in bubble wrap that they can't feel any of the nudges. They don't feel any of the seeking. It's 100% 3D. They're gonna stay on level 1 for their entire lifetime. They're not, and but they might have come. Now this is another aspect to it. They might have come because that within that, deep within that 3D person, there is a perfect spark of the divine. There is a perfect soul within that person. That person might have come so that you and I and this one and this one and this one can experience whatever chaos that they create. And we have that for fodder to decide, are we love or are we judgment? Are we love or are we hate? Do we, can we find that place of, we don't have to like it, we can hate it, but I've learned that you can hate something and still have that divine perspective of unconditional love for them too. That can both be. Hate the personality, hate their actions, but also understand they are a creature. They are a child of God too.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, and they are walking their path.
They're walking their path, and
Yeah,
they might have agreed to walk that awful path for the people that they love. They could have been around that table before they came. Hi, my name is Kelly Bowker. I am a world-renowned channel and published author, and I would like to invite you to a retreat in California, November 8th through the 11th, where we will be ascending our frequency. We will be bringing in the guides and be spirit-led through this entire 3-day event, and I would love to have you go to my website, presentmomentmagic.net, for more information. Thank you so much. Bye.